The Qur'an sets borders, what are called hudud, things which are haram and things which are halal. And some of those are quite clear, actually. So the main stumbling block on sexual life in the Arab world is around sex within marriage. That's what I call the Citadel. The only religiously sanctioned, socially accepted context for sex is marriage. Sex outside of marriage is called zina, and that is haram. It's forbidden. But between haram and halal, there is a wide spectrum of interpretation. If you talk to many people in the Arab world today, they will tell you that abortion is haram. And that's true even speaking to women in Tunisia, where abortion on demand is actually legal. But if one looks at the scope of Islamic thinking through the ages on abortion, there are some schools of Islamic jurisprudence which say that abortion is forbidden under all circumstances. And there are some schools which say that no, actually it is permitted on a wide variety of grounds. The question today is, why do we in the Arab world tend to gravitate towards the narrowest, the strictest interpretations of issues to do with sexuality in Islam when we could have a much wider field? If one looks at the writings of Abdul Rahman al-Jabarti, for example, he was the Samuel Pepys of Egypt. He wrote about a very frank, quite bawdy sexual life, and that included men who had sex with men. You fast forward to the 21st century, and now the standard line is that homosexuality is some sort of Western import. But it's simply not the case. There is a long-standing heritage of this in the Arab world. It's not just in sex. You see this closing down in politics, in economics, in other social issues, in culture. And it's not a coincidence, and many scholars have observed this, that when the Arabs were at the zenith of their political and economic and social power, they appeared to be, at least through this writing, far easier in their sexual skin. And one of the arguments I make in the book is that I don't think that those two are disconnected. On one occasion, during the protests, I was down in Tahrir Square, and I met with a young protester who was camped out. And he was part of one of the new youth political movements. And these were people who were fighting and quite literally dying in the side streets against security forces. And when I asked him whether the political freedom that he was fighting for would one day lead to a sexual freedom, he was absolutely horrified. He told me, no, no, no. The freedom we are looking for is not that. We believe in marriage, we believe in these parameters of Islam. That's not the freedom that we are looking for. For the foreseeable future, I think what we'll see is a gradual liberalization of attitudes. And key to that is also going to be the realization of individual rights and freedoms. Remember, we're not seen in the Arab world necessarily as individuals in the eyes of the state. We have individual dreams and fears and aspirations, but quite frankly, there aren't the political structures in place that recognize us as individuals. If I get into trouble in Egypt, I can't rely upon the state to recognize or respect my rights. Virginity, defined as an intact hymen, is not a matter of individual individual bodily control. It's actually under the supervision of the family. And so one of the keys to being able to find this flexibility to make decisions for those who want to stay within the parameters of Islam, to exploit that flexibility, will be having the freedom to think and act for yourself. But that is not yet present in the Arab region.